Hi there everybody, Flash Drowserman with another episode of Suzerain. So, let us go on the main screen. Right, where were we? We were at Chapter 2, A New Sordland. Where's my mouse gone? Here we are. News, government budget -3. Investment in Bergia, injected billions of Sorderain into development of Bergia. Target sacred symbols. The sacred symbols, figures and symbols of Das Trinity, including Saint Dast, himself have become target of vandalism as protests continue across Sordland. Okay. Create some corporation. Okay. Right to calls President to action. Needs to address issues like term limits, electoral threshold. Okay, of course he is. Police shoot protester. Policeman. An experienced police officer. Yeah. Bloodish, yeah, understandable. Radical. Yeah, it's not a great surprise. They really don't like me. Session is growing faster. That's not good news. Double-digit unemployment, plunging economic output. That's the to decline in employment. Okay. Tax cuts. On its way. Okay, yep, and geopolitics. I don't look good in northern. Okay, that's so basically they are going to have a pop at the blue dish. That's not great. Let's have a quick look over there. If you want me to stop and pause on this newspaper article so you can read them, just let me know. Because I am just kind of glossing through them. I should pay more attention to really, but let's have a look. Oh, they've got to say something here. Rumberg, what's their problem? She having a laugh. Queen Beatrice Livingston, that's a great name, calls Sordland a threat to world peace. Queen Beatrice Livingston appeared on TV to call Sordland not just a threat to peace in Eastern Macopia, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Sordland, also expressed her worries about the direction Sordland is headed, and urged Rumberg and army to secure the southern border. Yeah, that's just kind of political manoeuvring to have to find an excuse to come and have a go at us. It's just slightly concerning, really. Oh, are we? Alright. Suzerain. Visit inspect schools in Suzerain. As part of the planned programme, we arrived in Suzerain to visit a middle school. Okay, right, okay. Let's go to you. The prodigious Touring Hill School was situated close to the suburbs just outside the centre. The building was flanked on two hills, each dotted by beautiful shrubs and flowers. Lucian and Carol got out of their cars and met at the entrance. Her presence has not gone unnoticed. Apart from my guards, there are at least 10 reporters following us around. That must be. Lucian said, "That must be the principal. Right this way, sir." The principal was a man of short stature, with a bushy moustache and a pair of glasses. He approached us quickly, but was stopped by the security guards. They started patting him down and searching him. That won't be necessary. Let him through. Okay, Mr. President, it's such an honour to meet you. You too. You shake his hand and smile for the cameras. Reporters instantly snapped a few pictures. Welcome to our humble school. Sorry about the security guards. Yeah, apologise for that. It's a pleasure to meet you. Well, it's so good of you to come all the way out here. Yeah. At the entrance, the school's motto is inscribed on the wall in giant letters. Estretensis Aginka yeah, that. I'm not going to even try and butcher whatever that is. I apologise. Education is the premise of progress in all status and all families. That's what it means. We walked through the gates. There were many students lined up in front of the stairs in the main building. The school band started playing as we entered. All the students immediately snapped to attention and turned to me. It looks like a military institute, more like a military institute than a school. Exactly, that's what we pride ourselves on. Discipline has the utmost importance in our schools. Fair enough. Some discipline never hurt anyone. Cover bristled. Wind her up. Up to a point, perhaps look at these kids. I can assure you that our students are well educated. In fact, our school is one of the top 10 middle schools in the entirety of Sordland. Now we'll watch these students take their daily student oath. Bongo went to the stage and grabbed the microphone. The students turned to them. I am a sword, my strength lies in my blood. I will respect honourable elders, I will protect the young. My life belongs to Sordland now, and it will belong to it forever. I will always follow the guiding light of Colonel Sol and the great swords. Morgna, Westcora, Vector, and Sistai. Yeah, that's a bit concerning. Officer, second president, as a founder of Sordland. Remind myself this guy was. Yeah, basically started off well, but then lost touch. Okay, anyway. Nod at the kids. I'm not going to clap right over because I forgot the words, which proves the useless of this oath. Yeah, I kind of think there was a bit kind of militaristic about it. Wish to follow me, we'll take a look at one of our classrooms. Through the halls we made our way to classroom 7A. As soon as I entered, the whole classroom rose up and snapped to attention. Sit down, please. Our students sat down. Some boy and girl walked up to us. The same boy and girl walked up to us. These are our top students in our top class, and here is my son. The boy came before me and saluted like a military officer. Tell Mr. President what you want to be. Mr. President, I want to be a general, sir. I am ready to sacrifice myself for my country and for you, sir. Oh my God. What did he do? Yeah, just humour the guy. The principal squeezed his son's shoulders, and the boy looked up and smiled to his father and patted him on the back and set off to his seat. The cameras flashed. The system of discipline is ridiculous. You are raising soldiers here, not students. I am so sorry. I will immediately perform disciplinary actions. How about you, young lady? What do you think about this? I get the impression he was being sarcastic. I don't know, but I just think that license they got the principals are being a bit sarcastic. Anyway, she's our top student in the school. Her excellent grades are to ... I didn't ask you. She bent down and gently addressed the student. What do you think about your school? Just between us girls. Girl, I'm sick of having to knit and sew while the boys learn science and chemistry. I'm smarter than all of them. Why do I have to take these stupid handcraft lessons? Shh. Do you know who you talk at? Shut up, let her speak. Oh, blimey. Cara, presence had emboldened the girl. She went on. My maths and reading scores are the best in the school, but they won't let me take the classes I want just because I'm a girl. I want to be a scientist, not some soldier's wife. You heard him, Mr. Principal. You will make the necessary changes at once, but knitting and sewing are important skills for a woman. I'm not saying that. That's just bonkers. We need more people like in this country. I applaud your determination. We need more than words. We need action. Concrete action. We need to protect girls like this. The cameras flashed once again. I looked around. That's a large portrait of Colonel Sol. What do we do? Don't say anything. Get him to take it down. Let's have another look at Colonel Sol. How did he end his career? I need to remind myself. In 1940s, opposition could Turkish which knew how to trigger major protests against him. In 1940s, a new performance ring saw a great influence start challenge talking. He lost leadership vote to Edward Alfonso. He shouldn't probably removed Ireland. Let's have a look. So we got increasingly... Right, so we got increasingly dictatorial, if I remember rightly, from our Sordland history lessons. There's a lot of work gone into this. I really need to do some kind of video on this because there's so much work gone into this. There's so much work gone into this. Increased political and rival racial tensions. Take that down. Go on then, might as well do it. But say that we can't just take it down. Lucian do it. Lucian took the frame down and gave it to the principal. Even the reporters looked confused for a minute before making many photographs of the portrait being taken down. Kara smiled when she realised I was looking at her. She nodded. Well then, unfortunately we're almost out of time. We have other meetings to attend to today. Mr. President Lucian, please go ahead. I would like to speak to the girl alone. Thank you for the tour. I think that's cool, sir. She's at the class in Yale, but the boy whom I met was the loudest. And Morgana, where's Cora? Reply back. Okay. Not clap for anything like that lot. We're still here, are we? Let's look at the news, what the news has got to say. Let's go with to do. Thursday, space mission was successful. Proposed a Swordish prayer language act to assemble the bill is aimed to standardise the language of prayer in Sordland, in Swordish for the entire Sordland. There's nothing wrong with that. I made a massive mistake early on this when I kind of inadvertently made it harder for the minorities to get into the assembly. Yeah, that's going to come back and bite us on the rear end. The events, what controversy requests about the president's intentions. Pretty hard to do. According to the report, was not fond of quality and content of the greatest facilities. Down from the school's increasing doubts about his loyalty to the party and its founder. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Communist Party leader arrested. Down in Stala. Originally started Communist Party. Became exponent of communist ideas after Civil War. Lawyer. Swedish socialism. He was arrested. Okay. He was detained along with 10 other members because of their reluctance to give testimony for crimes linked to terrorist propaganda. Okay. Alright, okay. Yeah, he's in the pay at this like he is. Radical. Once again, the radical being radical. What would I say? Okay. Nothing that can win going out of that. They're basically suggesting. The suggestion is that I might have knocked off most of my party really by removing his portrait. Oh well. What's the worst that could happen? No, my local wife play can miss quite a lot. Right. Nothing else to see. Where's down here again? A briefing on the process education reform. We're still at Lear staying at a modest guest house for state employees. Kara set up a meeting with me and Lucian to go over plans for education reform after a school visit. Seated across from the table, going through documents, Kira entered the room. After the visit, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I've never been really sure my attention to reform our education system. Lucian took off his glasses, reading glasses, and put them on the table. I agree. It needs to be reformed. Exactly. These students have to repeat the same selfish propaganda every single day. They're being brainwashed at an age when their minds need to be free. I agree. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunities as boys. They are forced into the role of housewife even before they reach puberty. Nothing's changed since I went to school. Yeah. Women like me, Lilith, Neela, and even your wife, we had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education that you and Lucian took for granted. Is that the kind of country you want your what to grow up in? No, it certainly is not. Mr. President, we need to bring change. We need to to free the minds of these young people. They are our future. Yep. What do you need to do for an education reform? We need to keep political politics out of the curriculum. Sol should only be viewed as a historic figure. Shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. That is true. This is actively poisoning bright young minds instead of thinking for themselves. They are learning to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instructions. Handicraft like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes or not at all. I agree. Sordland's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. That won't be possible with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found in schools today. Either we raise a generation ready for the challenges of the future or not. What will it be, Mr. President? What do you think? Lucian get his opinion. As much as I respect Colonel Sol, his time has passed. Now is our time. I do think this might be the first step of a larger plan. Reform the education system. You'll not regret it. Now the decision made, let's move on. Very well. Skimmed over documents before continuing. After the budget increase, the ministry quickly began formulating on plans on how to effectively use the money. I should think so as well. Hang on. Let myself a drink. Oh. Tonight's drink of choice is New England IPA, a collaboration between Brewdog and Cloudwater. I love Brewdog. I own shares in them. Not very many, but I own a few. They're an independent brewing company in Aberdeen. And they're bloody lovely. Anyway, I digress. It is 6.8%. Bloody lovely. I shall move away from my keyboard. Yeah, I've got a new keyboard because last time I was recording, the can of beer went all over my old crap Logitech keyboard. And so I had to get a new one. And it's got RGB bonkers, so I really don't want to be spilling beer on that. Anyway, not that you really need to know all of that, but anyway. Right, crack on. Before moving forward, the question of keeping education fully state funded or allowing new private schools remains open. Tell us about the benefits of allowing private schools. Yeah, go and tell us about it, see what you reckon. I'm torn on this one. I found my opinion claim against it, but it will give us additional funds for education while increasing competition. Fair enough. It would support our overall economic strategy of promoting a market economy. The thing is, as long as it doesn't split with the rich, the opportunities, the best opportunities going to the private sector, and while everybody else going into the public sector. We have enough money to improve education and so on, and we do not need to complicate it further with a privatisation incentive. So what is your decision? I'm torn on this one. I really don't know which way to go. That would increase money, which in theory would allow me to cut their budget because they'd be getting through the private sector. However, no, I'm going that way. We will do. That should be it for now. I'll get to work and report back later. This has been a very productive day. I will be returning to Whole Sword. Thank you for your time. We dispersed after spending an entire day together. I took a moment to simply breathe the fresh evening air of Valerian. I felt calm here, but I would have to return to the chaos of Whole Sword soon enough. Oh, that's gone down. Ooh, that's nice. 2 more things. Kibner is making I'm making a mistake. I've made several of them, mate. Oh, welcome to the party. The head of Sordland's second opposition party, the National Front, said I will not be able to keep ruling the country without addressing the politics that have negatively affected our security, culture and economy. He blamed President Rayne for not being open discussions about proper reforms. Kibner also criticised Friends Richter for supporting President Rayne. NFP cannot be a part of this nonsensical collaboration anymore. As I said, it's been transformed into an anti-nationalistic committee, said Kibner. He explained his concerns over how PJFP supported Arcasian imperialism, only cared for the profit at the expense of Swedish people. Rayne is making a mistake, working with Richter. I can't bother listening to you, mate. You're a muppet. Anyway. The Ministry of Education has recently announced the upcoming change to the education system. Administration has decided to follow through with the promotion of the market economy and the start of privatisation of education. There was a mixed response where one side is believing that this change will only serve the oligarchs behind the corporation, and the other side defending that it will increase the quality of education. Yeah, we'll see who's right. Okay. Alright, then let's have a quick scan around the older map. That's better. Use my keyboard. Back here. Read the Ministry of Education has started work on education reform. Kara Wilder is reporting that she has begun working on the improved education reform. The details of the education reform will be finalised over the upcoming months. It will be formed. If the reform package is accepted, the next steps of the process will be the indoctrination of education. Fair enough. United Cantana launches second satellite. Intelligence reports that United Cantana successfully launched a second satellite with the capability of radio communications. This means the United Cantana radio communications will be able to be transmitted through a satellite for the first time ever. A technology no other country possesses. Ooh, that's a bit concerning. Okay. Planned reforms. Arrived at the Grand National Assembly, which was only a 5-minute drive away from the palace. Today I had a private meeting with Glory. Let's see who she is. Support Democratic Revolutionaries. Before election, she worked for several jobs. She's non-critic of, and she became member of the Assembly Office. Regarded as a case following a tough negotiations credit for lobbying incident. Well, is she a old guard or what? Let's wait for what she says. She is a leading figure in the USP, and to get her approval for the proposal, she's also a key in reaching 150 signatures to proposing a constitution. As she gets extensive control over the party's conservative and moderate wings. I walked into the corridors of the Grand National Assembly, and I was confronted by members of the historic building. Despite being a member of the Assembly not long ago, it felt like a distant past. I walked into the left wing of the Assembly, which is currently acted as the quarters of USP. Gloria's office was the first one inside. I knocked on the door and entered. Hello, Gloria. Good to see you here, Mr. Rayne. This is a small, neatly organised office, a small figurines, photos and plants around the place, and a homely feeling contrary to what my room felt like back in the day. On her gesture, I took a seat. The chair was very uncomfortable. It will be. I love what you did with the office. She smiled. A woman's touch, they call it. Like men cannot have a sense of tidiness or common sense. I like that. Which might actually be true. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep this simple, Mr. Rayne. We know why you are here. You want me to give you my support. I don't see why the background party would support your wish to reforms against our party's founder, as well as the states. Oh, she's a bit. Anyone is in the name of democracy. Yeah, in the name of democracy. Even though you owe everything to President Sal, I think you never liked him nor the party he has built. This is nothing personal. There's nothing personal about this, Mrs. Tory. Whatever you intend to do, you will be facing quite an opposition, Mr. Rayne. That's all I can say. Let me explain. How? We need these forms to fix our problems with the unrestricted power of the Supreme Court. People demand change. USP must give them what they want. We need the people's support. USP is a support and knows how to act to change in times. We must lead the nation into the future. Then why don't you let the party decide that? I seriously do not know if the Conservatives will be willing to support you at all, especially when you're trying to decrease the electoral threshold. Probably in hopes of bringing the Communists into Assembly, you must have a deal with them or the FPF, that lot, can't even say it. Friends seem to be positive about giving you support too. The deal is important to democratise our elections. I have no deal with anyone. You're pointing fingers without even thinking. I can reconsider the decrease in the threshold. I can reconsider. Yeah, that is... Which way do I go? It's either 1 or 4. Let's just... let's go... Ooh, this is a tough one. Let's think it through. That's the obvious. It's important to democratise. Yeah, because it's as weak as the USP, but the USP it's been a one-party state for how long? That's just pointless. That's not really saying anything. That's just too confrontational, and that's just kind of that's me backing down. Let's go with that one. The decrease is important to democratise our elections. I don't know how your acts can even be justified inside USP. They don't support an election threshold of 8%. That's a dangerous situation for us, as both the WPP and the CPS will benefit most from this. I'd rather have the threshold unchanged. Very well, I'll remove the change to the threshold. That's not too much to we need to keep the changes in the proposal. Does that ensure your support? I don't know what to say before saying I commit with you, Mr. Rayne. The same goes for me. I don't know if I can promise anything before I see an action from you, especially with all these issues you're creating for the party. What are the other issues then? You should at least remove changes to the Member of Honour laws, or there will be no further discussion. You can't just target Sol. I found expect our support. If this point is not removed, expect a grand opposition instead. Why are you against all this? I was thinking we could work together. Yeah, I think she's bluffing. Why are you against all of this? I think we could work together. I try my best to work together, Mr. But yet you're not listening to your own party members. So you're not removed at all. No, we could talk about the other clauses instead. It seems you don't understand. Okay, so you won't have my signature for the proposal. I doubt anyone from my wing will give it theirs neither. Fine. She stood up. Nice meeting you. She extended her hand for a handshake. I'm not going anywhere until you give me the signatures. I'm not... Cool, let's just dig oils and do yourself, Mr. Fifth President. Don't forget who you're talking to. To that. I left her room. Yeah, that didn't go well. Yeah, even then it looked quite uncertain if we could get 160 votes in the assembly. So I surged my driver. Drove me back to the palace where I met Lisa and told her about meeting with Gloria Tory. That didn't go well at all, did it? Oh well. Yeah. Don't think I'll ever be taking up a career in politics, because that was a bit of a disaster. Anyway, oh well. Alright, crack on, shall we? Meeting with Alban Clavin on planned reforms. This has got to go well. After a meeting with Gloria Tory and further discussions with the party and my cabinet, it's time to talk to Alban Clavin to get the reformist wing to support the proposal. I also plan to finally meet to present a more fleshed out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after the meeting. I walked into the left wing of the assembly, into the quarters of the SP, and I reached the meeting hall and I saw many members conversing inside. After a glimpse inside, I went back into the corridor to look for the office of Alban Clavin, which was around the back of the palace. I reached his room and knocked on the door and entered. Mr. President, welcome. The whole room was surrounded by bookshelves packed with files and papers. It was a small office with books and dossiers lying in every corner. It felt claustrophobic. On his gesture, I took a seat. Did a bum just drop in your office? Is it anything, Mr. Clavin? It's busy. The party's been working very hard, Mr. President. Thank you for asking. How's it going for you in the palace? Pretty good. That's great to hear. I want to express gratitude for passing the Workers' Rights Act It was the most comprehensive and successful political efforts. Fine. Yeah, let's not put that's a bit kind of too communist, that. The right thing to do because our workers are suffering for decades. Yep, let's need the people, credit or administration of the party for positive change in their lives. The business will share the burden with the state, but this is a change that it will have to abide to. Fair enough. After the close cooperation between the party and the party is going, we'll look forward to what we can accomplish with the reforms. Smiled and knocked on wood anyway, so let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input, because there are some subjects where Glow and I just don't see eye to eye, yeah. I have to say, most of the progressives were already starting to warm up to you. Your attempt to change the constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare say an excitement that hasn't been felt since the 30s. Yet there are some issues. The current state of the draft proposal you may need to contain our excitement a little longer. I can't support it in its current state. What's the problem? Where do we even begin? We have specifically asked for a change in appointment of ministers. That would be pretty. This is what the party is expecting. Yes, our suggestions were completely ignored. We can address that now. Oh, let's see them. He pulled out a stack of papers and placed them off in front of his desk. Here, I already have my suggestions here. The papers contain suggestions and amendments to the Constitution. I skimmed through the laws and pointed out council ministers are formed upon the President's appointment. Hang on, let's read that again. I skimmed through the laws and he pointed out a council of ministers are formed upon the President's appointment of them from a list of nominees that the Grand National Assembly selects. Ooh. Okay. This is an exhausting game of play. It really is. Well, anyway, it's 5 to 10 at night, and I'm recording this in advance of the early episode going out, and I'm just shattered. It takes it out of you. Anyway, I'll go on then. I'm not sure about that. I've got to change it. What the hell? You know, looking good. Farmers are expecting reform that limits terms. Why is this not included in the proposal? It's only my first term. It's too soon to bring in term limits. That wasn't the priority. I agree. Limiting legislative power of the Supreme Court. Balance and division of powers. Balance and division of powers. And you're doing more than that, aren't you? Taking away from the immunity of the justices and giving more power to impeach to the Parliament. Say your party control, or say impeach to the Parliament of which or should I say your party controls. Do you want me to believe that? I suppose there might be a way for me to get behind this. Okay, we can take another look at the draft, or perhaps there is something else you could offer me. Something else. Oh, I don't know. I'm all ears. How about a position in my cabinet? No, I can. I fear I can't do that. I can't. That's a shame. Good luck with the United Party reforms, but I guess the United Party, yeah, it's nice in a party against you like this, but which is an achievement too, I guess. Anyway. That didn't go well at all. Yeah, he exhausted me. I went to the restaurant assembly. Somebody to go to the members of the party. So I've been talking to people at a distance. After a while, the preparation of the conference had begun. I went back into the conference hall and prepared my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all the present members of the party inside the hall. Glory to it announced me from the stand. I walked up to the stand as everybody in the room started clapping. Brothers and sisters united Sordland. I came to announce the agenda for the future of our country. I started my speech with reasons for the changes to the Constitution. Our system is increasingly becoming undemocratic. The people of let's go with that angle. The people of Sordland have spoken. They blame our institutions and our systems and want change. Can you blame the people? Haven't we had enough with the flaws of our constitution? We must listen to their wishes and get the trust in Sordland back. The pauses started clapping and continued. Talk about democracy. Talk about why the SP needs this to survive the next elections. Target the Algonquin Supreme Court. Which way do we go? Because we don't need this to survive the next elections at all. If we look at the country overview, no, that's not that. If we look at the political overview, look at the, yeah, we're well in control. Anyway, let's go back to that. Right. Talk about democracy. I brought attention to democracy and why we must write a democratic constitution and explained how our proposal will fix these issues. The left side of the hall where Alban started applauding. Later I explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for their full support for this proposal. Ask for their votes. I asked each and every member votes to make a change together. There wasn't much reaction from the party. I saluted everybody in the room one last time and bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked out of this side of the assembly and back into the palace. That ain't gonna work. 100 message. President meets USP. Details of the meeting were not made public nor the draft contained. Continue. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Balance of power in Eastern Macopia. Yeah, this worries me. The old Rumberg. Okay. Let's have a quick scoot around the old map, see anybody else wants to chat. News. What do they want? Archaic states of the Sordland subscription laws. Dear reader, I ask you this. What year are we in? 1880s or not? 1920s? The matter I'm writing about is increased mandatory military service again in these times with no active wars. Why do you have these archaic conscription laws? Oh, because someone profits from it. God, these are batshit crazy, this law. Rayne to meet with Smallacre Van Hulten. Sordland is embarking on a great geopolitical gamble with a new trade initiative organised by the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The hope is the solidification of relations with the old ally Agnolia and the troublesome neighbour Welland, and the aim of regaining some of our regional diplomatic influence the country used to have. Each of these countries have a different agenda that will create some difficulties for President Rayne. PM Van Houten, who was elected through a powerful democratic movement, wants to reimagine trade while President Smallacre is looking for new foreign direct investment security cooperation against the rebellious bluish movements out of the border. Lesbia and Vagsland are watching Sordland's actions very closely and are sure to react to any any sort of balance of power shift. Oof. Right, let's have a look now. What? Minister who has begun working on a health report with a proposal to allow privatisation of the health system to potentially generate new sort of resources for the ministry. Minister Benewell is personally overseeing the discussion and report of the top aides, including the members of the National Business Council. Okay. Alrighty. Sign of veto religious harmony bill that was approved by the Grand National Assembly. Read this. For the purpose of increasing religious harmony and unity, the following laws are established in regional religious affairs. Section 1 of the Religious Harmony Bill will ensure that the Day of Dissension ceremony in the Ark Sanctuary of Daesh shall from now on only hold ceremonies in Swordish language. Section 2 will forbid sanctuaries from holding ceremonies in Bloodish unless they receive approval from the Archpriest of Sordland. Section 3 will enforce that all priests applying to be state sanctioned have Swordish descendants to be able to receive salaries and pensions. Oh, I am not happy about that. I'm vetoing that. I don't want that at all. That's not going to go down well, but radical. Protects religious freedoms. Yep. But I'm sipping first cup of coffee for the day when the phone lit up and rang. I swore under my breath. I thought my schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked up the phone. Mr. President, how are you doing? How are you doing on this fine day? If I may ask, what do you want? Fine as well. Fine as well. I'm good because business in Sordland is running as usual from my end. Thanks for asking. I'm calling you because I've received a call from the CEO of Armadine Industries, Aaron Bridges, asking about the recent initiative public offering on the Venturi City Stock Exchange. As you might have guessed, it's about our significant venture investment of 2,000 shares worth 2 million Ren. I'm very pleased to say that we have made gains. The shares have doubled in price at the IPO and the VCSE, and we will soon receive the profits made from this investment. Isn't that great? Okay, how much did we make? You will love it. In total, we have made nearly 3 million Swedish Ren. Oh my God! It was risky, yes, but look at where we are now. Some things are worth taking a risk for. Exactly, electronics manufacturing has a great future, and Armadine seems to have a head start. I assure you, this will pale in significance to what we will do together in the future. The money will transfer to your personal bank account shortly. That sounds a bit risky. Keep updated on other opportunities. Yeah. That just seems like a whole opportunity for people to throw mud at me. Need double. Yeah. Okay. This report we already know. So we can look up here. Do anything to report? Nope. Where are we? So what's you are private meeting with him, and you are briefing on the immigration regulations. Let's go down here. Far from becoming accustomed to work as president, I felt more and more snowed under as the weeks passed. It is ages since I've had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus and my temper was going increasingly thin as Peter was first to realise I needed a break. As for much cajoling, he persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture at Gentlemen's Club. For the past few months he had been hosting a saloon of sorts, not just for politicians and businessmen, but for artists and talented people of taste, he told me, with a smile on his face. It was one rule, no wives' girlfriend's idea, hence the name. Ooh, I'm not sure about that. As I found myself in front of this new luxury villa in Erloy, very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. Finally Peter opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Till finally, now the party can start. Now come on in. This has got bad press all over it, this has. As I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I am now the pleasure to present to you the man himself, the fourth president of Sordland, Mr. Anton Rayne. I'd known him for a long time to understand he was more than a little drunk. He had made an elaborate mock courtesy as I passed him and walked into the room. Music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Yep. So I didn't sit with Peter nor the crowd. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest. If my ensign, please take this. He gave me a whiskey and put it on my shoulder. We all know why we gathered here tonight, to celebrate the life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. This guy's a liability. Personally, I don't know any better to cure for stress than a little drink. Yeah, still I drink to that. Now, the tradition dictates as club president I have to remind you of the house rules are through with no politics, no wives, no sober. Cheers. And drain your whiskey. Anton Rayne, you may have power to make presidential duties, but I, Peter Vector, now decree this party started. Music go. I felt a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. We walked around the corridors, statues, painters lined, the stark white walls, an arched window provided a view of the neatly manicured grounds complete with a swimming pool. A large lesbian marble staircase led up to the second story. Peter gestured at a massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. The chandelier was made in the 18th century, can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. Yeah, I'd like to know that as well. How are you paying for all of this? I'd like to secret Gus had a lot of contracts with real estate. He brokered a good deal for me. He also said tonight I can introduce you if you like. What did you promise in return? Only my money. We walked again until we circled back to where we started. So what do you think of my little hideaway? Yeah, it definitely doesn't rival yours. Anyway, let's get back to the party. Caviar bought here from Westby. You're going to love it. Loud and mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses carrying around plates, wearing dresses that left a little lift to the imagination. Just come over, I thought this was a gentleman's club. This is what you've been hiding from, Evelyn. No one's hiding anything. She knows about these gatherings. I averted my gaze for a second, calling over one of the waitresses. She was in her mid-30s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied in a ponytail. Her plate was toast points slathered in lesbian caviar Peter had mentioned. Talk about his rich, salted taste of pure seaside. I could almost hear the waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar are best in the world, I'm telling you, Anton. There are few pleasures in life that are this. As Rachel left us to serve another attendee, I flashed a quick smile at Peter over her shoulder. He smiled back a little too broadly. Sensational. His eyes were still fixing over the expression I remembered from my many nights out together as students. Oh look, there's Gus. Why don't you go and talk to him? I'll be back shortly. Yeah, Peter, don't make a mistake. But you know what you're talking about. I'm just going to the washroom. I'll be back before you know it. She's got car crash written all over it. Gus was standing next to a couple of men that I recognised as banking industry magnates. I approached all of them, turned and bowed their heads. Mr. President, I toast for a new member, everyone. Gus, I clinked glasses as people around us raised theirs. As long as you... That's because Peter told me you were going to come. He told me that you might be interested in potential opportunities such as this. Arms and gestured at opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk at the balcony. There's amazing views of Erloy. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way back, he took out two cigars and held one out to me. I've got a bad feeling about this. I've got a very, very bad feeling about this. Diffused a cigar. We went to the balcony. All of Erloy was at their feet. From the vantage point, I was able to see how expensive the building plot was. The swimming pool, the hedge maze was visible from here. Neither of us admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I knew you were wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which wouldn't have been possible in any other circumstance. I would be glad to discuss a similar arrangement with you. In fact, I've prepared a document of my own personal favourite opportunities. This is the least I can do since you have been generous to many business people in this country. I'm not looking for any investments at the moment. Real estate is the best amount of money you can make. With the current economic situation, it only makes sense to put your money in such a tangible asset. But I also have a few other opportunities for you to make a side profit if real estate doesn't interest you. Is there any chance I could convince you? No, this is my final answer. Well, I won't push further. If you want to fresh my drink, see you around. On the back, I looked over at Erloy. Below, I looked down. I saw silhouette, two silhouettes actually, so close I could. They're entangled. I squinted hard to a better look. It was definitely people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. Guess who that is? I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with other guests, engaging in small talk business, their children and relationships. Half an hour later, Peter showed up next to me. Said, I'll be back before you knew it. Was that you in the hedge maze? Oh, what are you talking about? I told you I went to the washroom. Nothing, just curious. Want to drink because I do. Poured out 2 large glasses of whiskey. We drank them in one go. Throughout the party we drank just like the old times. I woke up next day with a pan headache and more than a few regrets. My memories of the evening were hazy, but there was one important detail that could come back to me. The red lipstick on Peter's collar. Maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. Yeah, that is a disaster waiting to happen. Yeah. Sordland today. Peter Vecton throws a lavish party at his new £1.5 million Sordland Earl Orrery mansion, tended by high-profile businessmen, including President Rayne, Minister of Rural Development. The capital, according to evening guests, arrived delegates dressed for swanky affairs, but Vice President and President were never to be seen at the entrance of the huge mansion. Nonetheless, it is worrying that Rayne and Vecton are throwing parties and having hidden economic recession. Yeah. Police violence in our capital. The rest of the Vice President of Young Swords, cultural centres and a group of students started protesting in front of. Police are fighting for the wrong side. A few hours later, small protests poured on. A lot of people joined in, which prompted the police force to intervene. We are a cultural organisation pose no threat to national security of Sordland. Said a person waving a flag of the Kingdom of Sordland. Okay. I'm not liking where this is going. I really am not. Let's have a quick. Privatisation education. The privatisation plan for the military education is in full swing. The first dozen public schools have transformed into profit organisation already after public bidding process to determine the buyers. Minister of Education, Carol, as a small percentage of all institutions will be allowed to transition, it's expected the minister will gather substantial amounts of private funds for the initiative. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what can happen over here then. Right. Read this. Chief of Police Carl Gresser report young source sympathisers as well as several members of terrorist organisations are currently working for the newspaper Hall Sword Post. Investigation is underway. A briefing on the status of immigration regulations. This is going to be another horrible meeting. We are in the middle of a meeting in the palace about the future of immigration policy. Insurance discussions become heated very quickly. That's not a surprise. I don't think so, Mr. Wishy. It doesn't make sense to me that a foreign citizen should become a soldier should come before a soldier citizen in Sordland. Mr. Luke as well said my analysis is also in line with this, especially during the economic recession. We're giving soldiers jobs to immigrants from other countries, what our own people. Immigrants are the reason our economy is not in the state. Immigrants are the reason our economy is not in a state that is unsalvageable. Look at Agnolian immigrants in Agnoland. They have revitalised the whole region, not just that. They have boosted the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, allowing the immigration to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree with the current situation is very nuanced. We can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put the economy and the recession at the forefront. Gentlemen, can we get back on topic? Right, sorry, Mr. Wishy. As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superbars. Do you see them closing off their borders? Why do you think they have such a large economy? They are in their current state because they welcome immigration and use it to their advantage. We need to modernise and reach levels of superpowers. And the same mind, it is proven that immigration helps the countries to develop. We cannot just deport our current immigrants. Decision before we move on. Do we have any questions about the current state of immigration? What is the current status of immigrants? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival, so they can work and contribute to the economy of Sordland. There is currently no limit on number of immigrants accepted. However, we are able to sustain the current numbers, despite the laws. The fact that many immigrants illegally work for corporations. There's a main issue with immigration right now, not the immigration itself. It is not the unlimited amount of immigration. If not for the unlimited amount of immigration, we would not be in this state. How many immigrants live in Sordland? Official numbers show that we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million residing in Sordland. That is a very substantial number. The primary issue is the strife that they cause between less fortunate Sordland citizens and themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everybody, including unemployed citizens. More taxes means more services. How do immigrations normally arrive here? There are 3 major paths they choose. First is from Agneland to the Agnolian border. Second is Bergy to Welland border, and the third is the Leven coast. Agnolians are the largest group, flowing past our lighter border. 3 recent political fugitives from Vagsland have also escaped via boats through the Grey Sea to land on our coast. The Rezaks are facing political persecution, tend to use the dangerous mountains pass to Welland. Many of them also have bloodish blood. Let's see what we can do about the immigration situation. Very well. David, which he opened his dossier, stamped the seal of the with the seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before making a decision, I have to remind you, during the elections we promised to tighten immigration laws. Of course, as you know, I was and still against this. It's evident we can turn immigration to our advantage from a financial standpoint. Advantage you go over the amount of issues caused by immigrants. I can provide you with a report later. It would surprise you. We need to keep our promises focused on each citizens. That is what I think. This is going nowhere. What are the consequences of keeping immigration relaxed? Besides from continuous prosperity of Sordland and following along our path to become a more modern, better country, not much. It's where we also have the capacity. This allows us to continue protecting investments from foreign countries, which in turn keep our trade steady. We're more trusted partners. Trade stability draws money. Stability is what stability? There are already issues between our cities and immigration is popping up all over because of this in country. We can only keep stability if we tighten immigration. Sordland first. If we decide to keep immigration, what does that entail? We could impose quotas and connect it to stricter border control on top of allowing our economy to get here. There are more important things like the well-being of our citizens and internal security. Agreed Swedish citizens take priority. Everyone in my response. Yeah, we'll tighten them. I did say we would do. This is a chance to affect our trade negotiations with England. Indeed, it would challenge to convince these countries as the borders close. That we've already slighted well in the past, and if we go back on what we've done 30 years, yeah, we'll get over it. Path. It's not about isolating, protecting it in every way, but more connected to the other. Organization. I think that was a mistake on my part. Get used to the new challenges. It says our new elections. Therefore, partnership. We are finished. I need to head off. The ministry needs new policy. Keep up the good work. Dispersed. Yeah, I think that was a mistake on my part. I think. Oh well, won't be the first time. Right. I'm thinking we'll have a quick look at the. In fact, actually, a view panel updated. So we've got court backlog, unfair clump electric funding, freedom of the press. Okay, I'm thinking I'm gonna find my pause, but I'm gonna hit pause. I'm gonna jump over here. That was exhausting. I'm shattered. Hope you enjoyed that. I think I made a few mistakes there in both the constitutional conversations and the one we've just had about immigration. But anyway, we'll find out soon enough. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, hit a like, leave some comments, let me know what you've experienced yourselves, let me know what could have done differently, advice. Anyway, you know what to do. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.